everyone, and welcome to In the Newsroom, where we bring you the behind-the-scenes look on how we deliver the news to you. But first, let's check on some of the headlines this week. In domestic politics, a surprise announcement by ruling Trinity Party presidential candidate Park Geun-hye, who apologized for human rights abuses perpetrated during the authoritarian rule of her late father and former President Park Chung-hee in the 1960s and 70s. This comes amid mounting pressure to clarify her ambiguous stance on the senior Park's legacy. On the diplomatic front, political conflicts and military tensions are building up in Northeast Asia, with tensions between Korea and Japan escalating over territorial claims to Korea's easternmost islet of Dokdo, and Japan experiencing a similar spat with China and Taiwan over a group of East China islets. And here's some news for Korean parents. The government has announced that it will scrap free daycare services to all children aged 2 or under throughout the country due to shortage of funds. In response, top 3 presidential candidates expressed opposition to the government's decision by pointing out the need to expand the country's social safety net and cope with low birth rates. And these are some of the headlines we've been covering throughout this week. Now let's go over to our reporters in the newsroom.
Kim Yeon-ji is covering Chuseok with foreign families, and then Hyunbin somewhere too.
Hi guys.
Hi.
We're just talking about the Chuseok and what everyone's covering for.
It's very empty today, right? Here they're out covering some stories.
They're
on
like
it.
all over Seoul, around Korea.
Well, hopefully we get to hear their behind-the-scenes account next week. But for now, let's start with you, Sung-hee. I mean, we haven't seen you in the office for weeks now. What have you been keeping you busy?
I've been on a reporter's training program for about 2 weeks. I was in the States and I visited New York, North Carolina. And then most of the time after that, I was at Finance Ministry. It kept me busy.
I see. So back in the ministry, I hear there was a grand announcement on budget plan for 2013.
Right,
How did that
kept
go?
everyone very, very busy.
Any highlights from that proposal?
First of all, the overall budget expanded by about 5% from this year to, I think it was around 300 billion US dollars.
The Korean government plans to spend nearly a third of the nation's budget on boosting welfare next year. This is according to the 2013 budget plan unveiled on Tuesday by the Finance Ministry. The government is aiming to spend around 292 billion US dollars next year, 14 billion more than the amount set aside for 2012. And of this amount, it plans to inject over $82 billion, roughly 28% of the nation's total budget, into creating new jobs and improving health and welfare policies. The budget outlines plans to cut Korea's fiscal deficit to $4 billion, or 0.3% of gross domestic product, the smallest in 6 years and down from this year's estimated $12 billion deficit. Due to the slowing global economy, the ministry said it will achieve a balanced budget by 2014, rather than its previously stated deadline of 2013.
And good news for a lot of those who are involved with the economy. And I looked at some of the lists, and it totally shows the economy policymakers, what they must have gone through to come up with those proposals, especially we are going through quite an economic slowdown, and it doesn't really look good for next year as well. But now I wanted to ask you this. The ministry has predicted 4% economic growth for next year, whereas in a lot of think tanks think it's going to hover around 3% range. So what's your opinion on this?
Positive compared to other institutions, but it's always subject to change. They may lower it, who knows, but for now they say, and even the 4% has been lowered from a previous estimate of 4.3%, so I think they are keeping an eye on that.
I see. And some good news for job seekers as well?
Yes, that's right. For next year's budget plan, a third of it is focused on improving welfare, health, and labor policies. So a lot of it is focused on increasing jobs. $9 billion is designated on creating 600,000 jobs. That is a lot. And of this amount, 100,000 jobs will be solely designated for youth. And as well as that, they will also run a program to help baby boomers find jobs after retirement. So
Great. Let's talk about the welfare. I mean, it's causing quite a commotion here in the country. They are spending quite a lot for next year.
They are spending quite a lot. I think it's around $80 billion. I'm not sure about the exact amount right now, but still there is controversy with that because they have secured 28% of next year's budget for welfare, but at the same time, the amount that they're that they're planning to spend on welfare has only increased by 5%, and this, some people say that this doesn't match with the demand for better welfare in the country. And I think the reason for this controversy is because there are talks of completely scrapping the daycare program for young children, which I think Ji-yeon covered this week.
Yeah, can you tell us more?
Sure. The Korean government has planned to scrap the current free childcare program starting from next year in March.
The Ministry of Health and Welfare on Monday is revamping its current childcare policy. Those who will be affected the most include families in the bottom 70% income bracket. Under the reforms, they will receive increased subsidies for children aged 5 years or younger starting in March 2013. The guidelines state that different amounts of governmental support in the form of cash will be provided, depending on which income bracket the households sit in. Families in the bottom 70% of the income bracket are eligible for support of up to $180 every month, while the top 30% income earners will receive no such benefit.
Why a sudden change?
When I call the Ministry of Health and Welfare, they say it is to promote flexibility for parents, and mainly it is due to budget restraints that you have just mentioned. And due to those budget restraints that can't be capable in reality, they've changed to a more feasible plan.
I remember just in the beginning of this year, this whole plan was enacted, and I remember doing a story on it, but seriously, like all of a sudden, this sudden change.
But I guess it's not really an easy program to suddenly implement.
Right.
So you talked to some of the households back then.
Right,
they
I
seem to be
did.
extremely welcome to the ideas, very, very excited. I mean, it's all free.
Right.
Do you remember what they told you?
So it was good. I mean, it was only like a limited number of households that would receive the government subsidy, but it was good for parents with a lot of children because they would be able to get support for their younger children, and because it's, as we all know, it's really expensive to educate children in Korea because they have to go to different programs or academies.
Yeah,
and so,
And
yeah.
for most couples, the mother and father, they're all working parents.
Right.
So free daycare program would really help them out.
Right, this started out to encourage people to have more babies,
Right.
since Korea is one of have low birth rate, and of course the aging society, that social issue as well. But you also did a story under the voucher system,
Right.
which caused quite a confusion. Tell us more about that.
When I was first looking into the proposal, what caught me the most is not only the increase of families that will get governmental support, but also the new voucher system. There's a full-time voucher and a half-time voucher. A full-time voucher is for those who are mostly the double-income families where both parents work, who has to rely on daycare services for more than 6 hours a day. The government is providing much more subsidies to those families who are working to alleviate those problems occurring with low birth rates, to encourage parents to raise their children more easily. And half-time vouchers are for those who only rely on the daycare service for 6 hours, mostly for equality reasons. So freedom of choice is whether you should send your children to daycare services or not. It's up to the parents' choice.
I see. And apparently 3 of our Korea's presidential hopefuls weren't very happy with this idea.
Right. An and the 3 presidential hopefuls, An, Park, and Moon, has expressed their opposition to this revision. So it remains unclear whether the revision will be implemented when the new president sweeps into office next year.
I see. But these are huge amount of money we were talking about, Sung-hee. I mean, especially like you said, the 5% jump from this year, and it accounts for 30% of the total spending. It's a record high level. So, but is there any, from experts' point of view, speculation or voices of concern that this could, in the long term, how it would affect nations' economic soundness?
The budget plan still needs to go through National Assembly's approval, I think October 2nd. So we still have to wait and see if this will be approved by lawmakers. If not, some revisions will be made. Who knows?
Right. Well, I guess we have to look forward to that and hope that it won't be tainted by politics. Right. And well, let's move on to some health news. Connie, I hear there's a virus, a mysterious virus.
Yes,
that's surfaced in the Middle
there's
East.
a new mysterious virus because they don't know what it is exactly, but it's a SARS-like virus that was detected in the Middle East, and 2 people have been kind of infected by this, and they call it the coronavirus.
A new virus, similar to the deadly SARS virus, has been identified in a patient who is critically ill in a London hospital. The World Health Organization says the 49-year-old man from Qatar, who was transferred to the UK, is suffering from a kind of virus known as a coronavirus. Having recently traveled to Saudi Arabia, he's the second person to have been diagnosed with the illness. The first being a 60-year-old man in Saudi Arabia who died from an almost identical virus. Health officials say the virus is different to any previously found in humans.
So one person is confirmed dead due to this virus, but why such hype about this SARS-like virus? Just one person.
Well, you guys remember SARS, the epidemic that
Killed 800
frightened
people.
Yeah, frightened everybody around the world. So it killed around 800 people, and nearly like 8,000 people were infected by SARS. And so I guess this time they're kind of wary that something like this could happen again, because the guy from Qatar was actually traveling in Saudi Arabia. And then when he got back to his home, he checked himself into the hospital, and they found this virus. And the virus that he had and the woman had who died were like 99% identical. And so it's from the same SARS family, so there's a lot of nervousness and worry over this. But I think this time health officials are taking better actions and kind of looking into this, investigating into this, and just about 3 weeks since the SARS-like virus was detected, the whole world knew about it. Whereas a decade ago, it was kind of slower, and people didn't know about it, and more people are infected.
But now it's a scare for travelers.
Right, a scare for travelers, and especially there's a Hajj pilgrimage where it's like an Islamic pilgrimage where they all go to Saudi Arabia, and with that, thousands of people go to Saudi Arabia, and so they're scared that this could even spread even more. So they're taking precautions.
Right, so the health ministry is looking into it, the World Health Organization is looking into it, so they're still looking for the cause and
and how
information.
it was transmitted. They don't know if it was human to human or animals to human, so they're still looking into that.
Right. Well, keep us updated on that. Hopefully it won't spread as further as it did back with the SARS. All right. So thank you guys for another great week and for your contribution. And hope you guys have a happy Chuseok with your family.
You too. Happy Chuseok. Bye.
라면집은요.
노래를 좋아하죠.
And now many bottles of soy sauce are available. Hello, I'm Kim Yeon-ji, and I'm the lucky reporter for this week's Reporter's Angle segment. this week I'm preparing for my news in-depth coverage on the rising number of one-person households in Korea. Because of these single-person households, their consumption patterns have changed. I'm going to visit different facilities designed for these one-person households. This is a very unique Japanese ramen instant noodle restaurant. This has single spaces for those who want to eat alone without any disturbance. So it's a very unique place. You can just sit and then you can even shut the curtain so nobody can watch you eating. So yeah, I'm new to this place myself, so I'm fascinated. I want to show that, from stepping into the restaurant and ordering the food using the vending machine, I just want to show the aspect of how it's done, with minimal contact with other people in this place. So that's what I'm trying to show through the video. So it's taking some time to, actually get that from different angles. This place offers one-person singing rooms. So you sit here, there's only one chair as you can see, and then you just sing in a confined space. You don't have to think about what other people may think of you. Even if you're not good at singing, you can just enjoy yourself right here in this space. When I first heard of this place, I thought it was really weird. Why wouldn't people want to get together and have fun like many people do in Korea? But I'm here and I'm almost, I want to sing here myself, with the door shut and everything. Our last stop for the day is an E-Mart store in Seocho area. E-Mart is one of the biggest retail stores in the nation, so I'm gonna go there and try to find the items that the distribution sector has created specifically for one-person households. These single people, who want smaller sized foods and electronic appliances. So I want to go there and try to read the pattern, the consumption pattern that has developed in recent years. 뭐 하나에 대해서 길게 설명은 안 할 거고 이런 게 있다 정도니까 뭐 한 분 정도? It was a full day. We went to various places and met with people who live alone and who are selling these items for single-person households. It was fun, and I'm just tired after a long day, but it was a great day for all of us, and I think we will have a great story and a great video footage as well. So something to look forward to.
Well, today we are going to connect live to our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Yeon-ji, who is standing by at the National Military Headquarters in Gyeongdae, South Chungcheong Province. And I hear she's there to cover a very special event. Let's see what she's up to. Hello, Hanu.
Hi, Ji-hye.
From what I know, Korea's Armed Forces Day falls on October 1st, but we are celebrating in advance. Why?
I'm here at the Korea military's headquarters in Gyeongdae, South Chungcheong Province, and you were right. Usually the Ground Forces Day happens on October 1st, but this year, because the Korean traditional Thanksgiving Chuseok happens to be on the same week as Ground Forces Day, so the organizers feared that families and people who are interested in going back to their families and hometowns might not be able to enjoy the Ground Forces Day weekend, so they decided to move the ceremony a little bit forward, so it happened a week actually before the Ground Forces Day.
Well, I'm sure the ceremony was packed with a variety of performances and programs, but what would you say was the highlight of the event?
Right, thousands and thousands of spectators gathered here on Wednesday at Gaeryongdae to be part of the Ground Forces Day ceremony. We saw a lot of students, a lot of families, and a lot of people from universities all the way, ranging from kindergarten. So they were really enthusiastic about the performances put together by the Korean Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps. I would say one of my favorite performances was the traditional Korean martial arts team, and every time I see their performances, they really wow me to an extreme. Also, the Black Eagles, Korea's Air Force's acrobatic air show team, got a lot of applause from the audience, and also the anti-terrorism combat unit. They rappelled down from a helicopter. So all of this really wowed, especially the students and the young people. So it's been a great sunny day out here at Gaeryongdae, and there's been a lot of enthusiasm and excitement for the troops supporting the Ground Forces Day.
Hannah, thank you very much for talking to us. I'll see you back here in the newsroom.
Thousands of spectators gathered at Gaeryongdae today. There's people. 다시 할게요, 여기만. 끝.
Help with their, just. So
Yes, this 다시 해야겠다. Improving.